The Marla and Dave radio experience begins in 3, 2, 1.
Now, if you're ready, we will begin.
Welcome to the Marla and Dave radio show. This is reality radio with a couple that keeps it real. Current events, pop culture, music, relationships, fitness, the hot topics of the day. Marla and Dave Thomas. This is the Marla and Dave radio show. Real radio. Turn up!
Welcome to the Marla and Dave show. It is Marla. Oh, look. AD got afraid. I scared her. This is, let me, duh. This is what has to happen around these parts, girl. You gotta know. You gotta step up to that. This is the thing, AD.
I'm your calm today.
I'm gonna give you a tip. David and I normally race at this point because I'm such a quick talker that welcome to the Marla and Dave show. I usually try to pay Tony to like kill his mic so I can be first. And then he stopped taking bribes at some point. I don't even know. How do we fall apart like this? Where do we go from here? But just, yeah. Listen, we started the Ebony and Ivory. Don't sidetrack me. I know what you're trying to do here. It's not going to work.
Actually has a single that she doesn't tell everybody about.
Listen, that's because it's not ready for my country appearance is not ready for the world.
When we have family time, we get to hear it. It comes out.
Yeah, it's on my arm. Free to be me. It's right there. It's not like a... Okay. You don't know the... You don't know
no, I know
you
it.
don't know the melody.
It. I've heard it.
Don't try to break my song before I'm ready to break it, just because you're family.
It's a jam.
Anyway, super excited today to be in the Madhouse. We are, talk about girl power.
Woo! Yeah.
We're packing it up in the Madhouse today. We are.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Today, with the recent accusations, by the way, our hot topic on the table, with all the talk about sexual harassment, Harvey Weinstein, it has broken the silence that so many people were holding in about these types of behaviors. But one of the things that came out was Ellen had a picture with Katy Perry, and she was, being Ellen, which is comical. And it looked like she was kind of at Katy Perry's breast and referenced balloons, which was part of a song. And everyone went nuts and saying that, So the question was, so it's okay because you're gay that you can do this, but if you are gay and this is a woman, is the same sex, which is the question we're asking today, is there a double standard for same sex allegations and or conduct? So that's kind of, everybody's like, let's think about that. But we have some, I'm super happy to have you guys as guests. So I'd like to, welcome you here for sure. We've got Amber and we've got Sloan and we've got Resident Diggity, AD. In the house. Before we get into the show, we like to do our week in review. So I'm going to go through some things and I'm going to ask you the highlight of your week. The 17th door. Last week, Monday, I did the show live and my little tiny terror of a child, Moniece, said, Mom, you come with me and AD. We're going to call Lexi and I got you a ticket. Let's go to the 17th door haunted house experience. If I had not emptied my bladder, I'm not even trying to be funny anymore. My bladder was actually contracting. My abs were sore because it was so much terror in ways that should not exist, I believe. Because this in any other scenario would have been a street fight. Bottom line. I mean, when you can put your hands on me, and you do, and you stick your hand in the toilet and you rub it in AD and Drew's face, my younger daughter, and she said, Mom, my face smells like dookie, and it really did. It smelled like shit. Oh, wow. And it was insane. Like, I love this. The dude hit AD on the head with a rubber mallet. It was all just too much. So if you're past the age of 3, or if you just like torture, and you just want to spend your money to just get your mind effed up, try it next year. 17th door. It was terrifying. I'm cool. Yeah, it was a maze. It was virtual. It was a lot of stuff. AD went through that. Matter of fact, AD, thank you for saving us because Moniece ran off. She paid for the ticket and abandoned us in the first 10 seconds of virtual reality. Right. And the third door out of 17. Ooh. So boo for you, Moniece. Boo.
I
Boo.
need to put this into perspective, though. I don't watch scary movies. I hate scary movies.
Me too.
Hate them with a passion. I will not do it. Okay. But one thing I'm not scared of is like the horror nights or like the 17.
And then you have to admit it was pretty extreme.
These are fake people, man. I grew up in the hood. These are fake. Like it's not nothing's gonna happen to
But
me.
it's
So let me tell you. So there's 17 doors you actually have to go
Yes.
through. Okay. Monique made it to no doors. And then our whole entire group at one by one wasn't making to any more doors. So I was now going to be by myself in the doors. So I think they made it to, I think her and her daughter, her younger, is it me? Her and her young daughter, Drew, what you guys abandon me at like 16? They were both like,
we said
AD,
mercy. We said mercy.
They say
at
mercy,
15.
AD, we love you, we gotta go. And
Yeah,
was like,
I couldn't
was
do
sitting there
17
like,
because
okay.
by the time you try to send me a little at one point, I don't even want to talk about the vagina room. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that. That's what I call it.
Always gotta be
It is. It just is. It just is. It's whatever. Yesterday,
Because you have lesbians here.
we want to listen. It was like entering. I don't know what it's like to actually enter a vagina, but if I had to enter one, it did feel like that's what happened to me that night. Anyway, you can call me or text me later, and I'll let you know exactly what that experience was like. Alvin Chia, happy birthday to you, man. Alvin is the bass of Take Six, which is my husband's group, and he turned 50. So David and I emceed his celebration, which was awesome. Adria did an incredible job. Great. It just was awesome. It's awesome to see a friend reach a milestone. She said his wife said he got a little depressed, but I don't know why, because it's just the beginning, dude. And he's just to see your life. His kids were there. Everybody just talked about his impact. It was awesome. Also, congratulations. It's like Take Six time. Christian Dentley and the group got married on Saturday. So there was a wedding on Saturday and a 50th birthday celebration on Sunday. So congrats to you and your new wife, Adrian. That's awesome. Wednesday, on a little somber note, and I'm only going to announce it where I want to announce it because it is very deep for my family. We will be appearing on the Dr. Phil show. Brief, quick update. When we filmed it, my son did accept the invitation from the show at their expense to go into treatment. Things are rough. He's in treatment, but he's not still willing to take his meds. So it's a very big roller coaster emotionally for me. So I'm gonna leave that at that. But you can check that on a Wednesday, and I want everybody to watch it with an eye of trying to understand the depth of mental illness. I'm hoping to erase some of the stupid stigma, like it's a demon, or his brain is he has brain difference, and so many of us do. So it's not to be taken lightly, but it's also not to be dismissed. And the more we treat it the way we treat it, with such careless disregard, people are not going to want to get help. Because why would you? Why would you want to come out and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, when you're just going to get slammed and you're already delicate mentally? So just stop. Okay, so that's what I have to say about that. Take Six is on tour. AD is co-hosting with me today. She's in the co-host chair. I told Dave, leave a little ball sweat. So down there. So if the seat feels damp,
Dave. I respect him so much.
It doesn't even matter. That's his chair. It doesn't matter. You just erase it from your mind and just get comfortable in the ball sweat.
Okay.
And last but not least, again, Take Six is on a European tour. This weekend was a weekend where I got to I went with AD to Cat Tats art event, and then we went from there to my girl Layla.
Yeah.
She launched her latest album project, which is called Honestly.
Yeah.
So
It
was the bomb. As a matter of fact, can you play my mood song?
Call this a lesson learned. Honestly, I don't really want you no more. Honestly.
All right, so there you go. So that's just a snippet of some great music. So we had a bang-up weekend. We're going to have a bang-up show. Don't move. We'll be right back with the Madhouse and the ladies in the Madhouse. Ow.
You're listening to the Marla and Dave radio show on the Universal Broadcast Network. Current events, pop culture, the hot topics of the day. It's time for Mad News on the Marla and Dave radio show. Ladies and gentlemen, Marla and Dave.
All right. We're going to start our news off, and how this works, essentially, we just pick 3 topics that are topics of interest or some of the top news stories. It used to be in category, but we just got rid of that because we just top 3 news stories. Sad. Super sad. You know what's coming.
Know. Yeah.
And this barrels down on my psyche and barrels down on my soul because we're yes, there's a need for us to reform gun control, but it's equally and more importantly a need to control and to give forward into mental illness. This is the second time in like 2 weeks. Starting to be the incidents are becoming closer and closer. Unfortunately, on Sunday, a gentleman who had some previous issue with his wife and his daughter, who was not necessarily all the way balanced, got a gun and walked into a church on Sunday in Texas and opened fire. That resulted in 26 lives lost and more than 27 people who were injured, some critically. I think 5, if I'm not mistaken, of the count were children, including the pastor's daughter. Who suffered, was one of the casualties of fatality in this. Man, we got to do better.
Yeah.
We got to do better. Like, so gun control or mental illness, if you had to throw in your coin for which one, honestly, which one would you throw first? Both?
Mental illness. I grew up in Texas. We had guns. It was just something, it was just like you got one from your dad, like your uncle. It just was passed down. I think mental illness is what I have to say right here.
For me, probably gun control, focusing on semi-automatic weapons. Like, I can understand people having guns and you have rifles and you go hunting and all of that, but there's no reason for you to shoot off 100 rounds.
That is my sentiment.
You don't need that gun. Nobody needs that gun, no matter what right she has.
It doesn't need to be
That's
sold.
a weapon of mass destruction.
Right.
That's a war weapon. And so even if you were hunting, you're not using an automatic weapon. My dad's a hunter. You blow your deer up, you can't even eat it.
Right.
Firing that many shots. So what I'm saying is you can't. That's beyond self-defense. So I think we just have to do better, and I think it's an outrage, and we got to get to that. This is actually funny. The men I have to pull this up. They're rushing a gynecologist for appointments in a small town because the gynecologist is able to write medical marijuana prescriptions. And so men are booking appointments with this gynecologist left and right, trying to get this prescription.
I mean,
Gotta do what you gotta do.
gotta ease the pain.
And I'm like, okay, she should be checking immediately. Like, okay, well, yes, I'm going to give you an appointment, but I'm going to need to see your vagina as well because I'm not quite sure. This is in Pennsylvania. It says a Pennsylvania gynecologist says that she's been inundated with calls from men trying to set up appointments after hearing that she was permitted to prescribe medical marijuana.
Yo, those are some high fools calling in thinking that a gynecologist is like something else.
Hey, that's somebody who ate too many edibles.
That's somebody that thinks it has to do with feet.
Yeah, I was gonna say eyes or something. My eye hurts.
My
funny.
eye hurts.
Well, you know what? But you know what? It's only going to take 1 or 2 times for somebody to be tossed up in some stirrups, and then you're like, oh, for real?
Yeah, exactly.
Michelle Pfeiffer weighed in, which is kind of the topic that we're talking about today. She weighed in on the sexual harassment charges, except, you know, what she basically is saying. And a lot of celebrities at this point are catching a lot of heat based on their response to what's being done. But Michelle Pfeiffer was essentially saying that this is for weeks. She said this is something that is just what happens in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I just think that, you know, that may be the case, but the culture's got to change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not cool.
So I don't think that Hollywood is an excuse, even though I do believe that it's been a big cover. So we're going to tear the top off of that when we come back, along with other hot topics on the table right here on the Marla and Dave Show. We'll be right back.
This ain't your mama's radio show. Can you handle the truth? Then get ready for a real radio experience. Ladies and gentlemen, Marla and Dave.
All right, so I want to one by one welcome our guests to the Madhouse. AD is family. Bro, it's energy, man. You can't just Let me show you what this sounds like. Let me show this what this sounds like to our audience. Okay, I want to welcome everybody to the Marla and Dave
You're gonna
show.
get a sex
See
call, Marla.
that's not even sexy. It's just not right. Anyway,
All right, let's go.
welcome to the Marla. I want to welcome everybody to the Marla and Dave show. So I want to start with Amber. I have something that's interesting that normally I don't do this, but today I'm gonna do this. When my cousin lives in Texas, and when she found out by the banner that you were going to be on the show, she immediately called me. She's like, "Oh my God, I love Amber's Closet," and I was like, "So tell me what you know about Amber." And several people at that point, there's some words that I'm going to throw out.
Oh, really?
One word that describe you. She said she found your video, your YouTube, through a friend. And she said, all I can say is what the first word that comes to mind, confident. She said beautiful and powerful.
Oh, wow.
And she just said that you just seem so she said you're beautiful. But she said that you just seem so comfortable in the things that you express and the things that you share. And Joy was like, she's the truth. So,
oh my God, Joy?
Her name is Joy.
Thank you, Joy.
Joy Selman. She's a
I'm
mother of
right
two.
now.
She
I
just
love Joy.
Yeah, Joy's awesome. But others. So I kind of want to just get it also you list yourself as being an activist. And so what would you, if I said when I say activist, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, you know what? It's weird because people will. I guess I started saying that because people automatically threw me in that category. I was named that in articles and just seeing it everywhere before I even said, oh yeah, I'm an activist. And really, at the end of the day, I realized me just living my life and not being afraid to be who I am and living my life for some reason made me an activist. And it's crazy. It's just being, a woman of color, being an LGBTQ woman, and then just saying that, hey, world, accept me for who I am. And then if not, you're missing out. And then literally just doing that and putting my life on the internet, everybody's like, you're an activist for speaking up about and being just so comfortable with who you are. And I was like, oh, wow, that's being an activist?
Yeah.
So activist, the term activist redefined. And you know what? What does that say? To me, it feels like so many of us are actually hiding. That means that the people who are living their authentic life are in the minority.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
I talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
And I say it on the show. That was one of my opening things about being yourself and living in your authentic self. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I hope I encourage that, the way I dress, the way I speak, the way I act, this is just me.
Right.
I'm not changing for anybody.
Right.
So that's uncomfortable for many people out there.
It is. It's crazy.
So was that driven, did you have to fight through that for yourself, inside yourself, with your family, with your loved ones, or was it just living out loud because everybody around you? Okay.
It was both. I think at the point where, because I was just hiding, I went to a Catholic school, there was a lot of reasons why I kept my sexuality, everything. I mean, I played basketball. People were just throwing stereotypes at me and I wasn't ready. So there was a lot of reasons why I just kind of kept quiet or kept how I felt or my sexuality. There was reasons why I hid that. And then it was kind of an explosion that just one day I just woke up and I'm like, why am I living this way? So I think, wasn't even out completely to my whole family by the time I started putting videos out on the internet. And it really was just me saying, hey, this is what I went through to kind of get to the point where I am now, where I'm confident in myself and I love myself for who I am. And then I realized that it related to a lot of people, no matter what their age, sexuality is, everybody's kind of going through something.
Right.
And then they feel like they might have to hide something or people might not accept them for who they are. And so I just started doing that little bit by little. But I feel like my whole life has been to help others. So that was the other side of my activism, is that I do speak up about a lot of issues that people are scared to speak about. Okay. So, and Amber's Closet came from? Well, it started because my fashion. My sister and I both had fashion on our Instagrams, and we were both doing videos in our closets. So, but it also is ooh, come out of the closet with Amber, So it's a little both. Play on words. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to call you Miss Smarty Pants.
Oh, wow.
And that I say that as the greatest of compliments. And by the way, for all three of you, one of the ways that I advertised you guys being here is just being women who have powerful voices and smart, because that's also super cool. To me, that's the cool part. We're all the uniqueness in who we are is the thing that draws people if you can own your own individual. But I also like the fact that you can express yourselves, and that has to come with some amount of intelligence and willing to come forward. So I appreciate that. So Sloan. So hi. So man, Tony, do we have a little bit of Sloan's speech? Okay.
Yeah,
So I want to.
to.
So we're gonna play. We're gonna play. We can't. We can't play the whole thing, but I want to play a little bit of. This is the speech that Sloan gave at her graduation, I believe, from Berkeley.
Oh my
and there was a
graduation from Berkeley, by the way.
Yes, from Berkeley.
Yeah, Berkeley.
Yeah, School of Law.
I just want to make sure.
Right. Yeah. Thanks.
Powerful black woman.
Yeah,
Graduated
from Berkeley.
Law.
Right. Here we go.
They say that black students should go to lesser schools because we're incapable of succeeding at elite institutions. They, sadly, has included members of the Supreme Court quoting UCLA School of Law professor Richard Sanders. To them, and all those who agree with them, in the words of Jay-Z, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sloan Whiteside. I'm not a quota maker. I'm not a seat taker. I'm black. I'm far more than capable. And today, I'm graduating from the most elite public law school in the country. Yes. When law school professors and Supreme Court justices openly question your worth and ability, thereby making it safe for your peers to do so as well, it can make law school a hostile place. But the world has always been hostile to my blackness. But at Berkeley, I was determined to be a trailblazer. When I stepped foot on campus,
I stood for a moment, reading those metal quotes on the side of the building, soaking in the prestige of the institution and relishing a fact that I was soon to be a part of it. From the beginning, it felt like a place I belonged, not despite, but almost because of the exclusiveness. I felt called to rise to the challenge of blazing through a wilderness of conflicting counsels to study a wisdom of the past. I was eager to become a part of that elite group that had the privilege of ordering the lives of mankind. I was aware that I had leveraged wealth and privilege to get here, but I was unaware of how that privilege was impacting the way I understood myself, my relationship to Berkeley, and my relationship to my peers. Then I stepped into the classroom.
I was terrified. I was in a room full of people who didn't look like me, reading cases about people either owning, being acquitted for killing, or denying basic rights to my people. But no one screamed out, hey, screw the legal jurisprudence, these are actual lives. And honestly, neither did I. The outrage was internalized as it has always been. I became numb and apathetic, so much so that when my grandmother, my best friend, passed away my first semester, I didn't even cry or grieve. I lost my ability to feel. Only outside the classroom did I feel whole. I found my voice in my journal office, in conversations with others.
Wow. I mean, we're all mesmerized. We're like, except I want to be able to talk to you as well. So just take us from there. Like, obviously at this point, I don't have to ask you on some level about your journey because that is just super clear. Where are you in as far as for you going to school and your family? Are you first generation?
So, second generation. My mother and father both went to school. My mom actually got her doctorate in education the same year that I got into law school.
Wow.
So we were kind of always going to school together, and I was always super proud of my mom, but actually my grandmother, her mother, passed away all of a sudden right before she graduated and got her doctorate. But she did get to tell her that she had proven her dissertation.
Right,
so
nice.
It was kind of a very weird time for my family, and at that point, hadn't really taken my first set of law school exams, and I was internally debating whether I wanted to come. My family's in North Carolina, so I internally debated whether I actually wanted to come back to law school, and if I just kind of wanted to, get a job or do something else that was closer to my family, because that was kind of my backbone. And I didn't really. I had at the time I had a partner, and she was super supportive about everything, but also my family was still kind of dealing with me coming out, and so North Carolina wasn't a very safe place for me either.
Right.
So going back there and trying to do all that, I knew that California was kind of where I had to stay. And then actually the firm that I currently work for called me the day of my grandmother's funeral and offered me an interview. So that was kind of, I felt like that was God and my grandma telling me, you need to go back. This is the place where you need to be. So.
That was the knock.
Yeah, that was the knock. And I always wanted to do entertainment law. So that
I was just going to say, right. That's the next thing. So you chose entertainment law.
I did. Growing up, I didn't see anybody that looked like me. I loved Claire Huxtable. She was like my idol because she was a lawyer. She had a family, and it was everything that I ever wanted to be. But then I started thinking about like media representations, particularly when I came out. I was constantly watching the L Word. I was watching YouTube videos. I found YouTube videos. I was trying to find anything that I could relate to it. And at that point, it just seemed that media was kind of being left out of the discussion of how it really impacted society.
Wow.
And I started kind of learning more about people of color and LGBTQ people and representation, because I felt like that was a place that they really weren't getting coverage.
But you had support at your mother and father. Again, home was.
Oh, they were amazing. I was reading books. I didn't go to parties. I was pretty much set up to be. And even for myself, I wanted a full scholarship to school. I wanted this. I wanted that, and that was instilled for me from a young age. And my parents basically told me, "You can be whatever you want." If I wanted to go act, or if I wanted to go play a sport, like my parents drove me.
Go, right.
They did everything.
Go do you, be you.
Yeah, my dad worked out of town. My mom worked an extra job during the summer. Like, it was always kind of, and I felt like I was set up to succeed. And then after that, it was those who are given greatness have to give back. So at that point, my life was kind of put into the motion of I need to figure out some way to impact society and something that I love. And
Wow. Okay, well, we're getting right. She's got the snaps going. So we're gonna take a break, and when we come back from the break, we're gonna see what AD has been up to.
Yeah.
In life, as she is
I'm
now.
excited about who we have here today.
Yeah, for sure.
I
But
just want to hear.
But there are those. AD, you have your own set of fans, and we gotta see how you ended season 4 on Ratchet reality. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, listen up. Learn something. 26 years of marriage from two unique perspectives equals 52 years of relationship experience.
Excuse me, that's 58 years?
It's time for Ask Marla and Dave. Answers to your questions about life, love, and relationship based on Marla and Dave's real life experience. It's about to get real. Ask Marla and Dave.
You meant AD.
All right, this is the. Unfortunately, we can't change all of our color pieces, but she's right. Backtrack. The Marla and AD. It doesn't even. That's just this. The Madhouse. They could be AD.
Yeah, that's true.
It's already the Madhouse. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? She soaked up all of that sack juice. It's gone. Anyway, this is the part of the show where the Marla and Dave, you cut right through to the chase. People send in questions, comments, remarks, and we pick something and we address it here live on our show. Yeah. So here's the question for today. This is the Ask Marla and Dave. It says, I've been following Marla's Facebook feed and have a question about your son's condition. I tuned in last week to your show and heard some of the things that your guests had to say relating to spirituality and mental illness. I'm aware that you both grew up in a Seventh-day Adventist church, so you know that there is a war being fought in a spiritual realm, that none of us can see. Are you and Dave completely dismissing that your son's condition may be a result of spiritual possession? If your answer is no, can you briefly tell me why? And I keep everybody anonymous, so I always give it a signature based on the context of it. And so this is, I signed all things spiritual. Okay, so your mics are on. I'm keeping you guys live. I only do this. We mostly shut mics down when we have unruly, uncontrollable guests. Sorry, Moniz. So, but for today, if you want to chime in, you can. But I'm going to answer this straight out. I'm going to look into my camera, and so I can look everyone dead in their eye. I'm sure that there is spiritual warfare, but I'm also sure that mental illness is mental illness. How do I know that it's mental illness? Because when 2.5 years, someone is balanced and able to communicate and be productive when they are on their medication, unless the devil was in the pills, and then they go off the medication and all hell breaks loose, I don't really have a question ever again whether it's the devil or it's mentally ill. So that's for me. And I really think that, it's easy to assign something ethereal and not tangible because you can't explain it. But we have doctors for a reason, and I really just want us to, in my case, I just want to be sure that I share my story in its truth, because I can truthfully tell you that we are dealing with mental illness.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Nope. We're good.
I agree. I have a bipolar father and a mother that's depressed, and I deal with it every day growing up. And there's a difference between when you're on it and when you're on top of it and you're listening to the doctors and doing what's healthy for you, and when you're not. So I completely agree.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So that's been the Ask Marla and Dave. Thank you for writing in, and we'll grab the question that you have for us next week. Thanks. We're back in the show.
Intelligent, fun, and super real. This is the Marla and Dave Radio Show.
Yeah.
What up?
So
Where you at?
I promised you that we would get formal introductions before we get into our hot topic of everybody, and because AD is my co-host, then she is certainly
like
your last but not
talking a lot.
least. It's a talk show.
The Marla talk show.
That's
What
it.
about AD?
Marla talks, and AD, you got it. If you can't hold your own, boo, you got to jump on in here. So before we do all of that, AD holds several titles in our heart and also in life. So she found herself in a relationship with Moniz.
Stumbled in.
And yeah, she rolled into a relationship with Moniz. Anyway, as those of you know, whether it seems to be controversial or not, we are a very close-knit family. Mm-hmm. And for us, it's always about the character of, which has always been my focus. Never in life was it about what my kids did. It was about who they became as people, their character. So that's where I've always put all my energy. So AD came along, lesbian, gay, one ear, one eye. None of that matters to us. She was a solid soul. And so she then sold her solid soul, or lent her solid soul into the 17th door of the reality TV devil. And so we're going to take a look at the reunion.
Whoa,
She was fly, though.
Yeah.
I watched some of this.
I did.
You couldn't find it?
Thing.
Oh, you really couldn't? Okay. So
this
we're about to play a clip.
reunion.
You listen. So AD, we don't have I was looking for the clip, but in the meantime, you did go all the way through. You're no longer a reality TV virgin. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about that. Well, first of all, you're also a professional person. So everybody here has a professional background. So I know that's a big leap. So talk to us about what that was like for you.
So I think why I kind of cringed at the whole Love and Hip Hop reunion, because that's not just my only makeup. So it's cool. I got to be a part of something that, it was new, it was fresh, it was fun, but that's not all I'm about. So I come from a corporate background. I've been a senior manager for 10 years. So I've already had a lot of structure going into this kind of entertainment world. So I think that's different than most of them, my castmates, So most of them are singers, rappers, entrepreneurs. Some are
Christian
reality
Louboutin
stars.
collectors.
They're also Instagram,
Right.
girls.
Right.
So whatever is their thing, models. Excuse me, politically correct models. And so I came in.
You got an attorney here. She's keeping AD straight.
Yo,
she's
she
like,
will make
no,
sure.
yeah, models.
She's gonna have this subpoena, just by the way. Right. I say something. So
Cease and desist.
Yeah, cease and desist immediately. So for me, it was just this isn't my only makeup, but I have the corporate background, and also I own my own business. So I'm also running my own business, Dig the Kicks. It's a unisex sneaker brand. So I'm really business savvy. So going into this kind of platform, I just really wanted to be myself. And one of the reasons, like, I appreciate you, Marla, you know, and your family accepting me for who I am. But when I met Moniece, we actually met in the club. So she doesn't like to go to clubs, so she happens to be in the club that night. So, but what I really loved about Moniece is actually her family structure. I didn't come from the mom and dad kind of vibe. I came from just the mother, single mom, raising her kids. And so I got to see this dynamic of this structure that Moniece came from. She went, you know, school, everything was like, had the house, everything I didn't have. And so I really appreciated that she was going to give me a different perspective on life. She had a son. She was really like a homebody, cooked and did all that stuff. So a nurturing kind of soul. And so I tell her this all the time. And that's what made me love her and wanted to be a part of her life. It was going to give me something different. And I needed that kind of the view. Her parents have been together for 29 years. Yeah. My mom has probably had about 5 marriages. Love you, Mom. But, you know, so I didn't see a lot of healthy relationships. And I was finally going to be in a relationship where my partner comes from a really healthy background of pushing through hard times, basically.
Right.
Because every relationship is hard. And Moniece does that for me still. And she makes me stay. As bad as I want to run for the mountains all the time.
Well, she wrote a song, Compromise. There you go.
She does not
That's
play.
it.
Like, she will chase me down.
It is a gorgeous song.
She will make me stay. Even in my death, she said. She is putting my tombstone.
Okay, those are threats. I'm glad the attorney is here.
Yeah.
I want you to write that down.
Yeah,
I don't
like,
handle
I'm about
criminal
law.
charges.
it's a little uncomfortable because it's not what I'm used to. Somebody fighting for love for so hard, no matter what we go through. Like, I know what it will take for Moniece to actually leave me, and I never want to find out what that looks like. So,
is that fear?
I was like, you'll be dead.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of fear anyways now. You guys know, you know.
Well, I'm just
I
saying.
love you, Moniece, but she's a lot.
Right.
You know?
But you know what? But everybody is, you know, I think that, and this is taking a little bit of a different turn, but I think that the one thing I've learned about relationships is people are designed for different reasons and seasons. Mm-hmm. And I think people who stick are people who are just truly them, understanding. I have a rule that I say, if you're dating, for everybody, expect nothing, because you want to leave room for somebody to show you who they are without you placing your expectations on them.
Right.
If you're married, expect change. We don't stay the same. And I'd be pissed off if I'd be happy if Dave went back to a 6-pack self. But other than that, I'm not mad. I love you, Dave. You have a lot of great qualities.
Too,
you know,
I mean, you are. But I'm saying back in the day, we're talking about.
You better not try to put me back in the past. What?
Girl.
This is my 8th self right here.
We're about to get off track. Get the train back on.
Anyway, so I'm asking you for just right quick your experience to get into to go from corporate America and jump into the madness that I know to be reality, and more importantly, because I'm not on contract with anybody, the hotness of a love and hip hop, which is even been there, done that. And when you're a true soul, it is super hard to navigate yourself through the thicket and the thorns of reality TV. Period. Point blank. End of story. So what was the thing that you didn't expect most? Give me the highlight. And what exceeded your expectation and what was far worse than you ever thought it would be?
Like any and everything I do, I actually do a ton of research, and I also wanted to get a lot of different perspectives. And so I was around a lot of people that just talked about the show, the platform, the things that they've experienced. So I just listened and absorbed a lot of it. So my expectations going in, I expected the chaos. I expected the drama. I expected the petty. I expected all that stuff. So that didn't throw me off. What was hard, I think that I'll say the low is actually reliving some of my relationship things with Moniece. That was really hard to go through, and watching it back again.
Right.
Yeah.
And having to relive that with Moniece.
Right.
And so that was the part that I think I didn't expect. I thought I'd be okay. I wouldn't have to relive this. I'll mask this and not. That wasn't the case. Me and Moniece went through a lot of highs and lows in our real relationship. And the show had a lot of effect on the relationship. And I'm grateful that we were able to make it out, but a lot of relationships do not.
Yeah.
They test you. They will do any and everything to see how strong your relationship is. And so if you guys go into a situation and you really are not loving each other and you are faking it, it will show to America.
I was going to say, yeah. Well, and
You'll be exposed.
even let's take that off of TV, and let's even, what's a good transition into our topic, our hot topic for today. It's true that spirit recognizes spirit.
Yeah.
You can try to be anything, but it literally, when I meet somebody because I don't have to interact with everybody like consistently, there are people that I meet, and I promise you, it feels like I stuck my hand in some Vaseline, and I tried to climb a glass wall. There's nothing, because I prefer edges, because that's human. Yes. Everybody has a history. Everybody has a truth. Everybody has a soul. And so to me, I would prefer to see your edges. I can love you for that. I would rather know, hey, you know what? I don't know, kleptomania, whatever you want to call it, whatever your struggle was, you don't have to announce it, but to try to lie and be something different is when I'm just, I'm out, you lost me. Because that's just not what life is. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that has been going on in Hollywood, and a lot of cover-up has been happening. And it's been blown up. The Harvey Weinstein or Weinstein situation has been the bombshell that has literally just exploded the entire entertainment industry on many different levels. So I wanted to get into several things. Number one, your thoughts about, people, because I know, Amber, earlier when you mentioned just being, you said, living my life, just living true, and everyone here at the table has said that, created the world labeling you as an activist. Right. You're just living your life, but now you were hoisted upon a platform. Mm-hmm. Because you live true. Mm-hmm. And your truth has released other people's struggles. Mm. So there's a lot of backlash about this. A lot of people saying a lot of things, including Alec Baldwin just was finally like, F it. I'm done. I'm going off of social media. I'm shutting he left his Twitter because, it's a conversation that we need to have. And that was sad to me because, to me, my interpretation of what he said was not negative at all. He was not victimizing the victim. Mm-hmm. But it's different for men and women. But is it different in same-sex relationships, ladies?
I actually wrote a paper about this in law school.
Yes.
It was a lot. What you got? I'm not going to do the whole paper. But I've always been somebody who's been super about consent. I have a beautiful fiance now, and I still ask her. I'm like, "Hey, Chris, is this okay? Is this okay?" She's like, "What?" She's from Romania. She's like, "Why are you asking me?" She has this really thick, beautiful accent, and I'm like, "Cause I don't like you're a person and you're a human. I want you to know that I respect you and I love you." And she's like, "Baby," she's like, "We have rings." It's like, and I'm like, "But no, it's not the end." She's
like, "Take advantage."
She's like,
right.
You know her.
Take me.
But I think coming into really having only one relationship one real long-term relationship prior to her, and then coming into the dating world and the lesbian community, I was kind of thrown. I didn't really know that some of the things like went on in terms of the sexual ethic of how you go out and how people are really just gonna.
Is there an ethic? What's the ethic?
It's the lack thereof.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like the lack thereof. But mostly it was I figured out about my gender presentation. So I'm a feminine person who also likes other feminine women. And when I started coming out into the lesbian community, I found that wasn't really a thing. Mm-hmm. And that if I
What do you mean that wasn't a thing?
It wasn't common. It was like if I wanted feminine women to like me, I needed to go like, and I had, I was used to be an athlete. I would have to put on my athletic clothes and they really wouldn't look at me or talk to me. And so at one point I actually changed the way that I dressed and looked for other women to talk to me or to try to date me. And and when I was writing this paper, I was like, wow, like I don't understand like what's kind of going on. And I realized at that point that we had kind of taken on some of the worst parts of patriarchy and heteronormative society and put it into our own community.
Yeah.
And we weren't really being authentic. Well, our presentation, and it wasn't about being masculine or feminine. It was about taking on what we thought men were entitled to or women were entitled to in normal society and just placing it into our community and then saying, oh, it's okay because it's two women.
Right. Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, because this is about to take all kind of turns from me. Because
you're not ready, Marla.
No, because the other thing about it is,
I can't. You tongue tied Marla. That doesn't happen much.
I know.
Labels, number one, right? Because I know that there's been other people that are friends of mine who've been on my show as well. Shout out to DJ Spark. And she said, I want to come back and just talk, because we were just talking about, it seemed that at that time, it was about relationships. Yeah. But she said, I want to come back and just talk about the actual labeling in the lesbian community, because I said, so what would you be considered? And she's like, well, I'm a soft stud. And I'm like, wait, what? So because I'm heterosexual and have always been, I'm old, like I have all these stupid stereotypes that I've had to be like stripped away. Like, wait, so I said so this not just like dykes? She's like, okay, Marla. Yeah, and it's a joke. But I mean, because they know that they're really just trying to educate me. And I'm like, yeah. So she said, so she started telling me like, there's lipstick lesbians and I'm like, well, it would make sense to me that if a woman is attracted to a woman, you're attracted to what would be feminine. There's, to me, we every time we go out with AD, Monique gets offended. I don't, because I feel like she presents herself in the truth that she is. But people will say, thanks, what can I get for you, sir? Sir? Sir, and I'll go, but that's
a public bathroom without like a older woman looking like.
Yeah, we went to lunch.
We went to lunch a couple weeks ago.
They said, "Sir,
yeah, Dubai. I just came back from Dubai, Africa. Everywhere I go, it's you never know. Like it gets scary.
All right, is there a threat?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, people.
Yeah,
definitely.
A man tried to fight me.
Yeah, men get hostile with you, and then
he wasn't sure. Mm-hmm. So,
and then if women think that you're not a woman and you're in their space, it can get crazy too.
But also, like my fiance works for American Airlines, so we travel to all these kinds of different countries, and I have to be specific with her. I'm like, there's some places where we're not going to be able to hold hands. There's some places where we're not going to be able to do this, and that's the same. That's just with
we didn't touch each other.
Yeah, that's just two women being together. It's just like you have to kind of understand that there are certain places that aren't going to have. And as terrible as America is, like I don't feel crazy walking down the street with my fiance's hand.
Right.
Where there are some countries that we just can't go.
Mm-hmm. And let me remind everybody, this is a live call-in show, 323-524-2599. And that is a question that I'm asking. Is there a double standard when it comes to sexual harassment in same-sex scenarios? I'm going to tell you guys something that's very interesting. My mind was blown probably 10 years ago. I went to a Sparks basketball game. I'm just going to keep it all the way real. And Monique was a young girl, and I had a friend at the time who worked for the Sparks. She's like, oh, I got tickets for you guys, come down. I was like, oh, okay, we'll come down. Came to the Sparks game. I went to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And I have never before in my life, other than at Bossa Nova, just going to throw that out there too, where I got so uncomfortable I had to leave, been harassed. I mean, there was a woman who was, I don't know what you want to call it, catcalling, whatever. She went under my stall.
Stop.
Promise you. And I said, whoa, come on now.
What'd she do?
She was just trying to get mine. She said, girl, and she said, you, whatever I got going on, just like talking like a guy would on the street.
What's her name? Where she live?
Yeah, that's inappropriate.
It was not just her. While I waited in line at the bathroom, it was 2 or 3 others.
All right, so I'm going to give a backstory to this, because when I first started dating Monique, I thought Marla was a little lesbian, a little bisexual. And I'm tell you why. Because she has a very assertive, very open.
Now, is that a stereotype?
Very strong.
Listen,
Okay.
Marla. Okay. I said,
there's a panel of lesbians here.
I said, listen, Monique, I think your mom might be a little interested. She was like, nah, we made a joke about it, but I know Monique's going to tell her mom that I said that. And I barely
immediately,
just met them.
she barely even hung the phone up.
I said, this is why. And I explained to you why. You have this very assertive, powerful, I live in my authentic truth. Mm-hmm. You may be I thought my mom was too. I just thought, like, for sure when I came out, she was like, yeah, me too. But it wasn't the case. What I find, though, that's the stereotype thing, is that we get labeled that a lot, and we fall into a category of the type of lesbian you have to be. This assertive, this strong. Like masculine, strong. You have to be a lesbian. And you can't date a man because he's not going to allow you to be that pillar. And so I get to see the dynamic with you and Dave, and it works perfectly in your guys' love relationship where he's still a man. He doesn't, you don't make him feel less than, but you still have a voice and you still have. And so that's an amazing ability to be able to be in a loving relationship that allows you to be who you want to be.
But I still think it's interesting that even if you did give off that vibe, there was still no room for that. And I think it was harassment to the point that I took Monique to a private bathroom, and that is the truth.
Yeah.
Because I think that
she was a child, and I thought, oh my God, I cannot. And the reason is because and here's what I will say. This is about this topic. Here's where there is a difference. The difference is you and I square up. Well, I saw you do pull-ups, so not you. You and I square up. Oh, wow. Because my shoulder's messed up. I'm just saying, I mean, I might have a chance, and I'm not effing with you either. But you and I square up. We're all women in the room. Right. Except for Tony. And, and
whatever he wants to
the point that I'm making is that there is a power difference, which is why I think it's such a big deal right now between a man asserting himself and two women. Our structure is the same. The only advantage you may have is, a little bit more strength or a little bit more training or whatever, but I'm going to be able to hold my own. I'm going to tell you guys an actual, hold this thought, because I'm going to tell you the difference in a real life scenario between a man and woman in sexual harassment and same sex, and in this case, women on women. We'll be right back.
It's time for the Marla and Dave Doghouse. Marla has something that should put Dave in the doghouse. Dave has something that should put Marla in the doghouse. You decide who gets a biscuit and who gets busted and ends up in the doghouse.
That's right.
All right, the doghouse is the place where normally David and I, you know what?
Yeah, don't do it, because I'm not letting you talk about Dave like that.
No, I'm going to put you in the doghouse.
Put it in. You ain't going to be putting Dave in
the
the doghouse.
doghouse is the place where David and I bring one marital grievance against each other at our show. Then we always keep it a secret from the other one. And we let our fans and our audience decide who gets the biscuit and who gets the bone. Dave, if you were here, I got a good one. I got one for AD. God. AD needs to be in the doghouse because AD got one more time to put I love my child, and there are a lot of things that are like Moniece and I are two totally different souls. AD, it's not Marla and Moniece one noun. It's not Marla Mo. So that is why I'm putting you in the doghouse. You have to always reference me as my individual. So there you go. Are you guilty? Do you want to just walk in the doghouse and shut the door?
I'm just going to go in the doghouse now. I know how this ends.
I want to tell you this, that if you get in the doghouse, that the bones are really good. They're good bones. They're like bone marrow. They're the expensive kind. You would get like
that really good steak. I get the leftovers.
And Dave, if you were here, you'd be in the doghouse because you got one more time to bounce out. Today, Dave said, this is why Dave needs to go in the doghouse. So we had another setback with our son. And David said to me, I said, why is it that every time you're just getting on a plane and all the crises just fall in my lap? He said, you want to know why? And I said, yes, because I should be on take 6 and headed to Russia, and you should be here handling this shit. And he said, no, because this is God's way of making sure that you understand that just to lean on him. That's why you go in the doghouse, Dave, because I didn't hear God say that to you. Prove it. Show me the transcript. Shut the door. You're in there with AD. Hope you find room. We'll be right back.
What's the action?
You'll laugh. You'll learn. You'll learn. You'll get mad.
Shut up.
You'll get happy. But you won't be bored. This is the Marla and Dave radio show on the Universal Broadcast Network.
So this is why I think that it's a big difference, because here's the other thing. It's a little bit off-putting to me that we're trying to turn everybody into one gender. That's what I kind of feel is happening. Why is it wrong for a woman to be a woman and for a man to be a man? Now, who you love is a private matter, in my opinion. So I'm almost disappointed that we've had to come to the place where our sexuality is announced with our purpose. That's a problem for me. I don't say, hey, I'm Marla of the Marla and Dave show. I'm a heterosexual talk show host. The hell? You shouldn't have to say that. It should be between you and your girlfriend. Yep. You and your girlfriend. And however you want to represent your relationship is fine. But I don't think that it should be the announcement. And that's kind of, I don't know who I'm annoyed with about that. Like, I feel that. And it was really big for me with Michael Sams, or the football guy. Yeah. And I'm like, you just took the focus off you being a great football player, and you just turned it into that pat on the ass that I may have gotten this and no big deal is now something that other dudes who have to put on a front or aren't so secure with themselves are like, dude, come on, bruh. And it changed the narrative to me. It really just did.
But I feel like that's on society,
Yeah.
not necessarily on Michael. Because I feel like even if he was just living his truth and if he just showed up one day with his boyfriend or his fiance, somebody would have had something to say. And then they would have accused him of living inauthentically if he hadn't come out. And I think you get a double-edged sword as a LGBTQ person because just as a black person, you are living for the entire community.
Yeah.
You're not just living for yourself, whether you like it or not. And I don't think that's a great thing.
Right.
I think it's
But role models do exist is what you're saying.
And I think that we constantly have to kind of battle with whatever somebody in our community does. And you have to really, really think what you're going to do in the public eye. And I know AD and Amber probably deal with this a lot. Like when you're in the public eye and you're representing a certain community, you have to understand that there's a lot on your shoulders, especially if you're a woman, especially if you're a woman of color, especially if you're a lesbian.
And then the media will put more and more and more on you.
And I
it
think-
started out with
yeah.
Michael Sam just coming out to a few of his teammates.
He came
just
out to his
because-
team, which is that's important because the
important.
people you play with,
We're like
they were
family
accepting.
on the team. Yeah, and
They
they
were
were good.
accepting.
But then the media got a hold of it, and then it just became this big thing. And he became a role model for every person because he was going to be the only professional out gay player.
Right.
And so that's why it became such a big deal. And it sucks because that just overtook him and what he, like what you said, his ability. And then now, he is not at.
Yeah, that's the whole focus. Oh, now you're only giving him a contract because he's gay, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So in entertainment, I get it. And when I say that, because there's a freedom for you, it's about expression. That's what the whole entertainment ball is, but that shouldn't define who you
they
are,
make
what you have that shouldn't have to even guide you to choose any type of a career or an occupation or anything of the sort.
I hate being gay, Amber.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
get
this.
mad
People
at
say that
all
to you?
the
They
time.
say you're gay,
Well,
Amber?
They just automatically throw that in, like I'm gay, Amber, right? But it's like, but I'm Amber. I happen to be this way, but that's not the first thing about me, and it frustrates me. But at the same time, I do see the impact that I have on people in the community and that need me as a role model. So I do a lot of things that are catered to LGBT, and then after a while I realize I do have to accept that part of me, and I do have to be that role model if I can, because I feel blessed to be that for that community. But at the same time, I don't want that to be who I am. I'm not gay Amber. I'm Amber.
I was actually going to say the same thing. So when I do these interviews, or if I get a lot of the LGBTQ, but I want to do a lot more of the other side where I just want to show up as myself. I want you to like me for me. I don't want to introduce myself as I'm a lesbian
because
girl
that's a
on
box too.
LHH.
Yeah. That's a box.
Like, I don't want to be that. I just want you to like me for who I am. Not my sexuality. Doesn't matter what I have on. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
You like
and I
me
think
or you don't
because
like me.
us for sure, because both of our girlfriends they're not gay women. They were not gay women before us. So that's another thing too, is like, my mindset changed on labels. We talked about labels earlier. My mindset changed on labels throughout the years. Like when I first came out, I was like, all right, I'm something in between. I started saying this name. There's femme and stud, right? There's more masculine and more feminine, right? And then I started saying STEM. It was in the middle because I wanted to people to understand who I was. I was like, all right, well, I'm a mix of both. So I'm going to say this so that you understand. So I started doing that so other people outside can understand who I am, right? But then after a while, I'm like, wait, why do I have to be a label? Why do I have to be any of this? Especially with my girlfriend, I don't want to have to label her, and I don't want her to have to label what we are. We are two individuals and going through life together, and that's what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. And I have obviously Moniece, and she said it a lot. I'm bisexual, but I always tell Moniece, like, whatever you are in the present moment is what you are. Like, you're just in love, happen to be in love with a woman, but it shouldn't be defined as that. And it's very, very heavy for you to be put in these boxes and these labels. When I was going on the show, I felt like role model was going to be me. Like, I was going to be looked at like, oh, she's an embarrassment, or she's this. Oh, she dates this bisexual girl. It's not really gay. Like, I was going to get all kind of backlash.
Does that make you feel in any way? And I'll ask all three of you, inauthentic. So, like, you're saying that you're in the same situation as AD. Is that a personal affront to you? Does it challenge you for somebody else to say, "Oh, she's not even. She's not a lesbian"? Because
why are you worried about my life anyway? I'm happy. We're good. That's all that matters at the end of the day. And like, No, it shouldn't be like a challenge to my sexuality. Oh yeah, I'm dating a girl, but she's not a lesbian. I'm dating a girl. Like that's the
my
point.
girl.
I'm a lesbian because I like women. It doesn't matter what what she defines herself at or what her label is. We're still together at night at the end of the day. Like
something I've talked with AD about and something that was really important to me is that you have to deal with these conversations because people don't have representations of what it's like for people just to live as people. Like everything that you see has a label on it, has a stigma on it, and you have to sit there and constantly explain it. And I'm somebody fortunate, like I'm on the backside of it. Like I'm the lawyer, I'm in the background, I'm telling like AD, like, hey, this is your fan base, this is where it is. But I understand what you want to do, and I see that, and I said, I'm going to we'll move this conversation in the right direction, but at the same time, you have to constantly battle all of this because nobody's having these conversations. Everybody's sitting there talking in labels, and they're living in labels, and you kind of have to break that down little by little. And I think I'm so grateful for these two people who are doing it on the forefront because even in my everyday life, it helps.
Well, you have to do it even in the corporate world. When I was girly, I was a young woman and a very high, like just we all were businesswomen. We're all very high, like high up in the company. So to be a woman, but I had to come out every day, even though like I would just dress feminine to make them more comfortable, even though like I feel like I was already standing out. But I feel like at every moment someone's asking you about your personal life and you just like you have to come out all the time. So it's the same with you as well.
Oh yeah. I'll have a very amazing firm, and when I started with the firm, even as an intern, I was like, I'm black and I'm a lesbian. I'm coming as just that person, and I'm very outspoken.
Right.
Like, so I hope that you'll take me because I knew I couldn't go to a big corporate law firm and have them accept the things that I post on Facebook and have them accept the way that I act in my real life. And I didn't want to be inauthentic for any amount of money that they were going to pay me.
Right.
It wasn't.
And
worth
I'm
it.
experiencing that right now in corporate America. So that's kind of what I'm experiencing is like, I want to be, my soul is not right now. Like I want to live my authentic self. And I'm in corporate America, and it's hard. I'm
to
a
be
senior
accepted,
manager.
right?
It's hard.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was on TV, and a lot of that stuff has been affected in my job because I'm with a black woman. You know what I'm saying?
Wait,
I'm
hold up. 2 seconds. Did you say you got fired?
I got fired from my last corporate job.
But how do
on
they?
YouTube?
See, that's what I'm experiencing right now.
Yeah,
That's
so
exactly what
I
I'm
understand.
experiencing.
Is that legal, Sloan?
Hell no.
Here's the thing.
here
It's-
goes.
Sloan
knows all
it's
about it.
actually not legal, and there's interesting ways to fight it, especially if you're an entertainer, because the legal world is not very open to anti-discrimination cases, and it's not easy to prove anti-discrimination cases because you don't just have to prove impact, you have to prove a consistent intent, and they can say what their intent was, and if you can't prove that intent in a court of law, basically they have to go on Facebook and say, I fired her because she was a dyke.
Somebody has to say that,
yeah,
right.
somebody has to say it. So and if you can't prove that legally, it's hard, but they're fortunate, and I've explained a lot of stuff to AD, there is a court of public opinion, and it is swaying now in a certain direction, and if you have the right team and the right focus, you can definitely find a way to make an impact.
For sure.
I thought about it.
Yeah. And I think that's...
I documented stuff.
And that's kind of to me, that's the path that a lot of people have to take. And you have to start thinking outside the box for a lot of this stuff. And it becomes like, do you want money? What do you want the outcome to be at the end of the day?
Wow. Yeah. I totally. I guess what's kind of in my journey of understanding has become different over time, only because not that my soul is different, but the exposure. Like that's not my word. All of a sudden, you're like, especially when you're raising your kids or whatever, then you look up and you're like, wait, and you start realizing what is just to me grave injustice. And I'm sitting here listening, and I'm going, wow, there's 3 people in this room that are basically saying I have to fight to be me.
Yeah.
In every day, everything I do, whether I work with my family, with society's opinions.
Think about this. If you have a child, two women with a child, you have to go to PTA. You think that when you walk in there, all the mothers there are going to be accepting?
They better.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they better. But
you need Amber.
I'm coming.
No, I'm coming too, but you don't get the automatic acceptance, and we get the uncomfortable looks. We get the like walking in the bathroom. It's like we have to deal, and I think that's what makes us strong and makes us say, hey, F it, I'm about to just be myself. I don't really care how you feel. I'm gonna walk in this bathroom. I gotta pee. I'm not holding it for you because you're uncomfortable. So that's another thing, like when you guys are at dinner and stuff like that and you hear them call me sir, I don't correct them because that's their own ignorance, right? I'm not going to make you
Well, now hold on. Stop it.
No, I'm going to tell you why. And my mom and everybody, this is the thing.
But do you not have a mirror? Do you think that you
I get it. But that's ignorance, right? So if you're not smart enough to observe that I don't have any facial hair.
Well, men shave.
it doesn't matter.
Or I'm wearing makeup.
Yeah,
like I still get called sir and I wear
not
makeup.
Not even that. I have
People call you
keep
sir?
it. Oh my gosh.
Not even that. If you look at my body shape, there's things about me. There's things that are not all.
Hello,
and
I have to.
Yeah.
You have to free the nipple.
When I go somewhere.
Yeah, but still, like, there's things, some smart.
They're not that big.
You're that ignorant that you're moving too fast. And a lot of times, what I find too is they're moving too fast, and they
Right.
They come
Now
back,
I agree with
and
that.
they will say, "Oh, you ladies," and they'll make it like. You ladies, like I figured it out. Like it's this moment of like it's hilarious, and it's like I find like they corrected themselves, so I'll give that.
Yeah.
One time, this guy asked me if I was in transition, and Moniece went berserk like crazy on this person, and I was like,
Moniece
stop.
never does that.
I was like, Moniece, stop! Like you're embarrassing me. We were like in a store, and I was like, calm down. Like I don't even get that passionate about it, but Moniece, if someone stares at me, my sister is like, what are you looking at? Does she got something on her face? And it's like I'm so uncomfortable. Like oh my god, like,
AD is a peacemaker.
I choose to dress like this as well.
Yeah, so
right?
we know
I
what's
choose
gonna
to
come.
live myself like this, so I know exactly what I'm going to get.
Right.
Right.
But I think that's why you surround yourself with people in the community.
We have a lot of a conversation also as well in the chat room, and
yeah.
Karen says, so true, AD. She says, I have a 3-year-old, and I dread when she enters kindergarten, and I have to explain that she has 2 mommies. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what though? Those are I guess those are some of the challenges that I almost feel are just when I say that. Life is challenging anyway, and it's like back in the day, it was even interracial couples.
Yeah.
You had
Absolutely.
to face something totally different. You it didn't stop you from falling in love. It didn't stop you from being in the relationship you wanted, but you had to prepare your children. I have had to prepare my son completely different than his white school classmates.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, because you bucking authority is going to mean you getting a bullet in your head 9 times out of 10.
Correct.
Where his little white friend, seriously, one of my good girlfriends, and her eyes were open. Her son was 16. He was driving 108 miles an hour on the freeway. He got pulled over, and the highway patrol said, "What's your father's phone number?" and called him up on the phone and said, "Here's how we're going to handle this. I'm going to go ahead and send him home." That's a felonious speed. Immediately, right? Had that been my son, not him. I'm going to write him a ticket, and you just guys go ahead and show up in court. And I'm like, there's white for you.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I can tell you this. I grew up with a black father, and most people don't know this. Like, my whole life, a black father. So, obviously, half my family was black. So, if I decided to date a black woman, that was familiar for me because half my family, but most people don't know that about me. So, it wasn't like, oh, she likes to date black girls because she thinks she's black. No. My background I've dated all types of races of women. I just don't discriminate. I don't see the color. But I get a lot of backlash of them thinking I want to be something that
you're
I'm
not.
Right.
That's
I'm
just what you're. That's what you're. Yeah.
This is
That's
how I was
right.
raised.
But
You
I
don't even know that about me.
My fiance's Romanian.
Right.
She's only been in the United States for about 3 years now. So we have a lot of conversations because before she met me, she met her first black person when she was 18. So, I'm starting with a blank slate. I'm like a critical race theory. I was an African-American studies major. Like I'm super passionate and I'm sitting here having to explain who like Malcolm X is. And like, we're literally starting like ground zero. And so I've talked to her particularly about
She needs an Afro kit. I think you need to help her. Puff it up.
She's like, we've read books. Like she loves it. We watch movies. We've read books. And like we surrounded ourselves with like people, and she's starting to see things that happen to me, and she'll come home upset at night, and I'm sitting here talking to her. I said, well, babe, like I dealt with that when I was 5, so I'm gonna go ahead and help you through this. And we're gonna talk about it because you're gonna talk to our kids about it. I said I can't be the only one. I said because we're gonna deal with same-sex stuff. We're gonna deal with kids. Like we're gonna have to go to a school, and I said we surround ourselves in the community with people who are like us because this is how we deal with having to go outside and just deal with all the other stuff that's thrown at us.
Right.
I said, so for us, it's a very different conversation, but also on sexual harassment, I think in the same-sex community, when that's all the only community you have and the only family you have, if something happens to you within that community, you don't want to buck that. You don't want to sit there and say, oh, something happened to me in the community.
So would you say that it's probably less of an occurrence in same-sex communities? Is it? Would you know?
I wouldn't get.
Tony's shaking his head. Tony's talking from the other side of the aisle.
Judgmental.
Yeah.
We just talked about.
Oh yeah.
Legit. We just talked about how two femmes can't be together, 2 studs.
Yeah.
Like what you wear makes you like cooler or not. Like if I decide to, which I would never do because it's not me, wear a crop top, I should be able to rock the crop top.
Right.
And they don't think like, oh, AD is turning. Oh, what's she doing? She dating boys now? Like that shouldn't. I just want to put different articles of clothes on.
Right.
If I decide to paint my nails, like I'm not stud enough or I'm not masculine enough, I can't get the right girl. Like it shouldn't matter.
Well,
at all.
can I just say something because I care about you?
Oh, God.
Never put on any lipstick.
I
just told you.
know,
told you
man.
that. When I saw
saw
you on
that.
TV, I said, don't. I called her up.
No, did you
I
see
said, not
that?
even any tint.
Moniece redid her over on the
yeah,
YouTube.
yeah, I said,
They
I
made me
you
dress
didn't
like
see
a
it?
girl. I busted out.
I
three
was
dresses.
with them shopping, and I'm like,
okay.
I had to leave
She
because
was
I'm
like,
like,
I had to do it. I was,
They did.
I
I'm
was
like,
so
they
sad
did AD
about
wrong,
that.
though,
It was
bruh.
sad.
I could have really hooked you up. You would have been looking cute, bruh.
I hated it. You know what? That was a big pressure of mine because thank God Katrine Harris, she's actually a lesbian too. So she does the Def Jam stuff. So digital, I didn't know that.
Right.
I thought they were going to make a mockery of like studs and girls that like to dress masculine. But I was really nervous.
They have me on there all the time.
I didn't know. And so like for me, I didn't do a lot of research. They were like, oh, I thought they wanted to make a joke. And I'm like, I'm really myself. I don't want people to think I'm trying to change because I'm going to be on TV and I need to be more feminine and all these things. I was really worried about that. And then I realized, like, it could be funny. It's okay to see a different side of me. It shouldn't change how I show up, but that's the pressure that we have from our community.
Yeah.
I was worried about the homies, like, really, AD? Like,
Man,
you
don't
out
worry about
my
them.
club, homie. You can't come over here. You know what I mean?
Hilarious.
So
See,
then-
everything that I represent is like, because I post, if you go on my thing,
Yeah,
you'll
I've
see some
been through
girly
your page.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I want to show is that, like,
Which is pretty
as
impressive.
women, we can do it all. If I want to be masculine, I'm going to be masculine. If I want to be feminine, I'm going to be feminine. Like, it's just, I used to model when I was younger. So I like to straddle both lines and be like, well, I can. And I think that's a beautiful, like, part of.
That's part of who you are.
Yeah.
You're not one
women
thing.
in
Who's one
general.
thing?
Like, yeah, who cares what people say?
But
And
Amber
that's,
is an
that's
amazing
what I want to
soul
say to
outside of
Joy.
what she wears, so it don't even matter.
Well, I've heard,
Thank
and my cousin is super heterosexual, but she's like, I'm all Amber.
And that's- see?
She's like an Amber. She's like, oh, you Amber's closet? Oh my God! So those words, that Joy seriously gave that. She's such a sincere, genuine person. But anyway, the sexual harassment piece of this, I want to what dawned on me is the power struggle. And that's huge to me. And here's where it hit home to me. I went to a friend's event. It turned out that it was part of her birthday. They had male strippers come. I stepped out of the way because that's just I'm all for fun, but it just wasn't my thing. Especially if I'm going there, it's not going to be in a ring on somebody's floor in the living room. You know what I'm saying? With a bunch of people throwing money at me because it's not my money. And this 5 minutes before it was over, guy comes, finds me in the kitchen, picks me up, and I'm pushing and going, no. So what dawned on me automatically after I had a strained hamstring and a bunch of other stuff, if we went into a strip club and it was a strip club where there's ladies who are dancing, and a guy and a woman were to dance on a guy's lap and he's not having it, he can go, I'm good. Boom. I'm not physically, he can put her to the side. It was nothing I did, screaming, saying, hey, stop. I was like, no, put me down. Didn't matter because 280 pounds of pure muscle folding up 140-pound me was not, I couldn't physically defend that. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the few times in my life that I felt absolutely and utterly powerless. I made a joke about it, but at the same time, I promise you, I felt completely powerless. It's like nothing I said was going to matter. So there's a difference, is all I'm saying. There's a really big difference. And even in the bathroom, if I had to fight my way out of there, I probably could. But the bottom line is, it's same sex equality on some level. And so is it as much of an outrage, or how is that handled?
It should be.
It should be.
It should absolutely be.
It should be.
If I ever see it, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like it at all. So I think that there are some women in our community that pick up traits of men, and they want to they over the top do it, this aggressive, and maybe that's some of their behavioral things. Maybe that's how they were raised too.
Well, clearly, I feel like anybody who does that behavior, it had to have worked at some point.
We're women, so we know what other women want. Like, what is the aggressive? Take me now. I can have any girl. I think we get this also stigmatism that we're all the same. And we want everybody, all women that walk the earth, and that is
well.
Not
Now
the
that
case.
stereotype, I had to really, because we even when you talk about the perversion of being gay, and that's what happened with Kevin Spacey.
Yeah,
essentially, Kevin Spacey. Not only did he go across
He was.
Let me just say
he
that
was a
was
problem.
whack on every level
Yeah.
to me. Number one, it's almost like it felt like he used "I'm gay" as an excuse,
Right.
Yeah.
and I was drunk as an excuse. But you actually inappropriately dealt with a child who was four. That's no matter what.
Yeah, so he thought that because he was saying I'm gay, that it makes it less
Right.
aggressive.
Right.
Because again, that's a stereotype of gay
But that's-
males.
Yeah.
That's
not
We
being
all
able to
do
be
that. We
outside.
all just
aggressive.
f up little children.
But that's so.
no.
But that's terrible because that's why a lot of people don't want to. People in the community don't want to report because our community already has this really terrible hypersexualized stigma. So there may have been people that he like harassed who are actually gay and they didn't want to out another gay man, and so they internalized their them being victims for a community for a bigger picture, and he just sat there and conflated those two issues and set people back in the minds of really, really conservative people like 10 years. Like he set people back because they already conflate those two issues.
Right.
Like, they were already going to put every problem on gay men onto what he did, and he just sat there and put it out there for him on a silver platter.
Yeah.
And so it made it very, very complicated to have that conversation. And I've seen like LGBTQ organizations even preparing for this interview. We haven't touched on it yet. We still don't talk about same-sex sexual harassment. We don't really talk about domestic violence in intimate couples. Like you'll see a website,
Which is
and
a
it'll say,
lot.
There's
It's
resources.
huge,
Yeah.
especially in women.
Well, I'm gonna yes,
Let's
and
make it
yes, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have when we come back. I want you guys to all tell me because I'm curious why we keep adding alphabets onto LGBTQ
Right.
and what the hell is the I? I want to know that.
I need to know
and, yeah,
as
I did.
well.
I
I,
just
like,
knew
yeah,
it was new for
it-
me.
it-
I had to Google it.
intersexing, interpoling.
And there's one that's like undecisive.
Okay, I need you. Okay, so we can't just say we can't do the alphabet thing A through Z. We have to stop somewhere. But I'll be back because I got another question. I can't let you guys get out without asking. Be right back.
David is a thinker.
I never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically wear my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together, it's like a match dancing with a firecracker. This is the Marla and Dave radio show on the Universal Broadcast Network.
All right, we're going to take a minute right quick before we come to a close with these. The shows are so flipping short. They're short for me. Anyway, the poll question last week. I'm going to have to bring the results to you guys because Dave flew off to Moscow with the results. But with the current spotlight on sexual harassment, is there a double standard when it comes to same-sex allegations, which is what we're talking about? Your options were hashtag yes, hashtag no, hashtag clueless. We're going to find out what those results are, how you guys weighed in. You can always find the poll question on our website, www.marlandave.com. Next week's poll question is this. How much responsibility do you place on Donald Trump for the racial divide in our country?
Ooh.
Hashtag completely, hashtag somewhat, or hashtag not at all. So you guys are going to be able to weigh in online. That's next week's poll question. I promise to have the results for you right here in the Madhouse. We'll be right back with the show.
Can you handle the truth? This is modern American dialogue in a mad world from two unique, fresh, transparent perspectives. This is the Marla and Dave radio show.
One of the reasons that I live is I believe with my whole heart that, but you're included, that
Dave.
transparency is transforming. So I want you to think just for a second, and I want you to, each of you, one at a time, to leave me with the one stereotype you'd like to do away with that you think will change the narrative and the conversation from hate and misunderstanding to love. Was that too much? Was that too deep?
We're all very,
in
we're all
just,
very
just,
deep, actually.
yeah, I know it, I guess why I know it's something to think about, but start with the stereotype. What's the one thing that you hate for somebody to say to you? We've been talking about some of them. The one thing you just want to take off the table.
In the community or
Yeah.
in general?
Yeah, about in the community. In the community.
Oh, in the community.
Okay.
You've all been labeled at some point or another, and there's something that you heard so many times, and every time you hear it, I can even just go there in my life. I just want to gag. I'm like, psh. And while you guys are thinking, one thing for me, and I'm gonna again look in the camera, if another person with the level of connection and involvement and love that I have for my kids challenges, or I don't even care who you are, because I don't address the background noise, which you are. if you're throwing hate my way, you are background noise. So I never talk directly to you. But what I'm going to say is that life changes, love stays the same. These are the people that I brought into this world, and I'm going to fight to find a way to love and to get through no matter what. That doesn't mean that I'm going to celebrate and or applaud behaviors that I know that they can do better. And so don't connect my responsible love relationship with my responsible love relationship with my children. Never connect that with me. Actually, I hate the thing that people say, tough love, because it's tougher for me to watch my children struggling anyway in life for me as the parent who's been connected their whole life than it is for them to possibly even go through. So I don't like that. I don't like that stereotype. I don't like that label. That makes me sick to my stomach.
Man, this is a tough one because I think for all of us, we have so many things on our heart that we actually, a lot of things. And so it's hard for me to think about the negative stuff and more about what I want to promote. So I'm going to go kind of a different route about this.
Okay.
And what's kind of like, you know, I feel right now. I think that we need to get away from thinking that we cannot do something because of our sexuality, because of the way we look. And I can tell you, I've broke all molds, and I'm a senior manager in a very hard corporate job to get to the levels I am. There's not a lot of women, first off, and there's not a lot of women that look like me.
And probably not even that many minorities.
Not a lot of minorities. So I have full sleeve tattoos. I have short hair. It took me a long time to actually cut my hair and live in my whole truth. So what I want us to stop doing is making excuses on why you think you cannot be successful because of what people have told you that you cannot do. And so that's who I want to continue to be a voice for. That's who I want them to see me and say, man, I want to be just like that. Not so much like AD, but just I want to have
the freedom.
that freedom. I want to have that truth. I want to have that strength. Whatever I'm telling you, I come from a single mother, poor. I broke all the molds possible. I have a lot of the stereotypes. I played basketball, did college, all the stuff the lesbians did. But I broke the mold when I went into corporate America and did something completely different. That wasn't the norm. So you can do it.
Yep.
All right.
I think I have
Sloan.
I want people to stop. When you call out injustice, I want them to stop assuming that you hate that person. So I get it a lot. It's like, oh, you hate white people or you hate straight people when you're calling out injustices that you see in the world. And it's like, no, if I hated people, I would just avoid them and I really wouldn't say anything and I would just live my life. Actually, I'm calling you out because I think that you're better than who you are. And I think that we all, to be able to build and connect, we have to confront all the issues that we have in our lives, and we need to confront all the privilege. We need to confront every single misstep that we've made, and then try to grow and be better. And so I think a lot of people are afraid to speak out, whether it be sexual harassment or whether it be anything, because they're afraid that somebody's going to think they hate them or that they don't like them, when really if you come from a place of love and you come from a place of where you want to grow and connect and build with people, then you're not going to let them be less than who they can be. And I think that most people, when you hate and when you're a bigot or when you oppress people, you're being less than a person that you can be. So.
And there's a question that I'm going to let us answer as we go out, and I hate that I'm just reading this because I know it's controversial in some way. Someone in the chat room says, do you believe that I can still love you, ladies, and not accept your lifestyle? I'm serious.
Let Amber first.
Yeah, I want Amber to finish her thought, and then you guys.
That's deep. I do have I feel like a lot of family members that are very religious. Like I said, I have a lot of family. I grew up in Texas, and they're Southern Baptist, and I had a lot of family that were Catholic, and then they don't choose to accept my sexuality, but they love who I am. I think it's very tough because I feel like I can only love you at arm's length. I can only love you so much because you can't be accepting of me and my happiness. All
of you, right? And that's who you are. Yeah. That's part of you.
So it's like I feel like you might love me, but you love me like a church loved me. You know what I mean? Like, okay, when I see you,
like an institution, like a building.
That's it. But at the end of the day, you don't truly love who I am and like the impact I'm trying to have on my life and in
I just actually
the
experienced
world.
this. I recently just experienced this, and it's actually through Monice's family. It was like a cousin, legit, was like wanting to talk to me outside, and you guys are Seventh-day Adventists, so they're very religious. Had a real one-on-one with me, was like, look, I like you. I think you make Monice happy, and, I respect what you got going on, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but, like, I can't accept you. And I gave him an earful, and it was very respectful, and I thought we both ended on a very respectful understanding of where I was coming from, where he was coming from. But again, that's not love to me. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what religion you are. That's not love.
And I think that I've learned this as well, that it's the antithesis of love. It's the opposite. Because to me, God created us all different.
Right.
Yeah.
You were born different in your uniqueness, not in isolation. So to me, I just feel like every time I hear these conversations, the only thing I can think to myself is, have disdain for the things that are not just. But to me, love is a very all-encompassing thing. And that's the way God created us all. And so I just believe that it's the word in my mind is the audacity, because that means that you're assigning your three-dimensional lower self to God's intention, and that's kind of not cool.
And I'm good with God. I'm love, baby. I'm love.
No, when I met
Amber's
Monique, I
like,
said, don't come for me because God got me.
Yeah.
So I just want you to know, like, he's been protecting me for a long time. So good luck with that one,
Yes.
Monique.
That's hilarious. Uh-oh. So Monique, don't try and kill AD, because I'm just trying to tell you. Plus, I have it right here on my show. It's not going to go off too well. We're going to have to rewind. Anyway, thank you, ladies. Tell everybody right quick where to find you.
I'm Amber's Closet. You can find me Amber's Closet on Instagram and Amber's Closet on YouTube.
I'm at Queen Pope 21. I'm just on IG.
Okay.
Dig the Kicks on all social media.
And how do they get your line?
Oh, yeah. Dig the Kicks, DTK.com. You can buy some cool unisex sneaker-inspired apparel.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? I have to have you guys back. Thank you for coming. I'll see you back here next week.